Hi guys. Yes, I was just on, but I'm coming back. Something was a little glitchy there. So, hi again. Hilary Raven Porter, multidimensional healer and Tamiana Starseed Oracle, and we're here to talk full moon. Yeah, it's full moon in Aries, and yeah, so I follow Chani Nicholas, and so I want to talk a little bit about what she said. I highly suggest going on and getting onto her email list. Truthfully, she's amazing. Um, she doesn't fluff it all up, which I really like. And she'll be like, yeah, it's going to get hard. And I like that she's like that. So in Aries, so this is about the courage and the strength and the push back against the despair that has been overwhelming so many of us as a collective, right? I mean, the 6 month, what they call it, the 6 month hump, where everything really starts to settle in. And timing, we're going into winter. Crazy timing. Going into winter, right? So this is when we start, a lot of people start to get that dip. We're going to be going into the underworld. The work's going to get heavy. We have less light, all of the factors piling, 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 piling. This is also a time that she talks about taking none of what we have for freedoms for granted, right? It's easy to, I was talking with a friend, and it's been a slog, and there's been some dips and lots of healing and peeling back coming on my end, of things that have been with me since childhood and between childhood and now, right? And so things are starting to peel back, and it's the work isn't easy. That's one thing I never promise to any of my clients, is that the work will be easy. It may come with some ease, but it's not always easy, because it's an integration of things. It's a recognition of our part in things. It's a recognition of and a grieving of parts of our lives that have been impacted by these things, and how things could have been different and all of that, right? And so we were talking about how we're like, well, really just first world problems, because we were talking about all these things that are affecting us, and talking about how it's relative, right? And how um, it's easy to go, yeah, but that person wherever doesn't have shoes, or they don't have enough food, and I have food and I have shoes. But also recognizing that you're still impacted by what's happening in your life right now, to not diminish the fact that you are being affected by what's happening in your life right now. But also not taking for granted any of these things, and being like, I do have the food, I do have the shoes, I do have a roof over my head, right? So Mars retrograde is also happening right now, or we're coming into it probably through October. And so we're in the beginning stages of it. And that paired with the Aries moon, she says, is like Captain Obvious. Like all the things are just like, hey, yeah, remember that thing like that I was showing you? Yeah, you obviously were blinded by something, but Captain Obvious, these things are just going to be laid out straight and clear, along with Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So with this wounded healer, though, paired with the Aries full moon, is not to wallow in the wounds anymore and in the pain. So don't be fascinated by it. Don't put it up on a pedestal, but also then take a look at, what do you choose to do with your pain? Do you choose to let it define you? Do you choose to wallow in it, be fascinated by it, let it hold that power over you, or do you choose to do something with it? And there's lots of different kinds of pain: physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, all different kinds. And so, really looking at it and being like, am I letting this define my world and my life and be the only thing, right? So, the last 6 months, so this is connected, this full moon is connected to the new moon that happened 6 months ago. So, that would have been in March 24th, I think it was. That new moon was the seeding, and now this is the flowering. So everything that you've healed, that you've deepened relationships with, that you've built over the last 6 months, now is the time to let it be known, recognize it, celebrate it, integrate it. Because you can learn, like if we're talking book smarts, you can be like, yeah, I got all straight A's or whatever. You're like, yeah, I did so good in that class. But that doesn't mean you're going to be good at integrating and applying that information. So now is the time to integrate it so that you can apply all that has happened in the last 6 months. Okay. The impact and effort of what we do now won't be recognized until later. So you might feel like you're running in a circle. You're just like, I'm doing all these things and nothing's coming about. But this is a pivotal time to keep doing those things, because you will see the outcome of it. Right? It will alter the effects later. And part of the way to do that is to really focus on the win And be like, okay, waking up and having that win attitude. The things that you do being like, this is a win. And it's shifting that vibration and that energy. You're calling into you that energy. So even though it feels like a slog, even though it might not always be easy, even though you'll have some successes, things that feel good versus the things that you're just like, oh, what am I doing? Continue with that, like, nope, this is a good thing. This is a win. And find that feeling in you that feels like a win. Think of a time when you were like experiencing something successful, whatever that looks like for you. Even if it's sitting out in nature, you went camping, you're like, oh, I made it out here. And it just feels so good. Or that time you wrote that really amazing essay for school, or I don't know why I'm focused on school today. Any of those things, right? That time you baked that really killer cake. I say cake because I want to make a cake today. And just think of that sensation and enter your life and those things that you do with that feeling. Okay. And Chani Nicholas does awesome horoscopes. For her email, it has your horoscope and then it also has like the rising signs, so you can read both, and they're really good. So I highly suggest. Okay. Here's our card. You ready? So this is the Tao Oracle. It's one of my favorite because it also has the I Ching on it, which we're also going to do today. So here we go. We've got completion, which is interesting because what did we talk about? This is the flowering of the new moon that we had in March. Yeah? Completion, final attainment, victory, a crescendo, a job well done, perfection, peak performance, and prudence. Okay. Ooh, so now what we do, get out my coins. So there's these little, the I Ching right there, right? We're going to roll the coins, shake the coins, and depending on what the coins say, actually I'll roll them down here so you can't hear on the countertop there. Oh, let's re-roll that one. So depending on how you roll them, if you get 3 of the same, so let's say I had 3 heads or 3 tails, it can alter the way that the lines are, and that means there's more information in the book, which I absolutely love. Let's try that again. Okay, so none of the lines have changed. I guess I could explain that a little clearer. Okay, so see these lines? So I have a series of nickels, and I take them and I roll them. So for me, the straight lines, so those are yang. Yang is represented by the beaver on the one side, and the other side is the queen's head. So she's the yin side. So when I roll the first time, if I get 3 beaver heads, so it's yang, it means that I change this to yin. So that means I will read the message, the extra message that's there. And you roll 6 times for each, like 1 for each line. And whatever the changes are, you get to read more in the book. This deck is phenomenal. Okay. Ready? Completion. $63. Here we go. Enjoy the sweetness of the moment, for it is the culmination of a long journey. Peak experiences are like brilliant lights appearing on the vast panorama of our lives. We strive, train, and aim for them. Our ideals, hopes, and dreams are projected onto them. When a high point is finally reached, a different landscape of possibilities has already begun to appear. It is naive to believe that achieving a goal means it's then possible to kick back and relax, or that from now on life will remain perfect forever. The reality is, in fact, that once you reach the top, you must assuredly begin some form of descent. Without the valley, there would be no peaks. Life would be flat and predictable. And we're a human. Stuff comes up, right? It doesn't stop. And I can't even imagine if it did. Would we just be like a potato on the couch? Whatever you have worked so hard to achieve is now within reach. Things might still need a little fine-tuning, but essentially the moment of triumph is at hand. It is important to not slip into any old habits of carelessness or inattention. Take care of all the maintenance requirements and attend to any last details. Your totality of commitment is what will determine the depth and breadth of your success, which is what we also talked about. What you do now, you will see at this end phase. What you do now, you will see the fruits of that. True satisfaction is available in every aspect of the journey through life. It is far more beneficial in such moments to build on your successes by harnessing your energy and containing it rather than throwing it away on the excuse that you need a break or, on the other side of the coin, getting carried away by over-enthusiasm. We know this, where we rev up so much, we're like, yeah, and then you just burn out. Well, it's steady pace. Although the pressure may seem to be off now, at any moment circumstances can take an unexpected turn. Remain alert to any signs of change. Avoid indulging the ego's need to project itself as superior or heroic. Be aware of any tendencies toward pretentiousness, taking on the role of benevolent monarch, or otherwise playing a role designed to demonstrate superiority over others. Apparently the guides want to come say hello too. Breakthroughs are part of a continuum. They can occur in both small and great ways. When you have achieved any kind of peak, it is wisest to direct your energies toward returning to middle ground in a relaxed and natural way. Attaining the heights always challenges our mental and physical limits, if for no other reason than the fact that increased exposure means increased vulnerability. It also means when we reach this peak, we're like, yes, this is so good, I've reached this point. And then anything that is less than this new bar that we've set for ourselves can feel less than. It can feel not sufficient enough. It can feel like, well, we made it to this level, but now I made it to this level. Why? It's like we've attained this, but it's okay if we got here, right? It's funny at the bar. Whereas before, we would have been down here, so we would have been happy to be here. But because we made it here, getting here doesn't feel so good. If you slack off now before you have fully comprehended all the implications, excuse me, of your position, the situation can degenerate, and what seemed glorious can begin to distort and break down. It would be a pity to have come so far, only to realize you've created a nightmare. You must be very diligent while savoring the perfection of this time to not become drunk on it, because out of unconsciousness, you can easily stumble into snares set by greedy others. They see your success, moths to a flame. Prepare yourself, and it's funny, I found myself, when I'm saying these things like success, I automatically go to business world, working, being a contributing member of society, whatever that even means, in the capacity of like the patriarchal definition. When really success, like people, if they see that you're happy and you're joyous and you're having all this abundance in your life that isn't related to your work, you still get these moths out of the woodwork, right? Yeah, interesting looking at our background thought processes. Prepare yourself to resume the day-to-day, step-by-step work of doing ordinary things in the best way that you can. So coming back from vacation, you're like, I don't wanna. There is no milestone on the road at which perfection is finally reached. The experience of perfection is a revelation. It is a realization that perfection is contained within every moment, regardless of whether the moment appears grand and cosmic or inconsequential and mundane. We still need those mundane things. Some of us love those mundane things, like data entry. Oh, don't even get me started. Love data entry. But to other people, they're like, oh, that's so boring, right? So, remember that those things are also needed. Gotta go get the groceries. But then you can also have this celebration that is happening as well with these grander things, right? But recognizing that both are needed and good. So again, celebrate. Makes me think of the trolls in my kidlet. Okay, so apparently the guides want to come say hello too. Yeah. So, let's see what they have to say. Stepping over your heart. So it's stepping over your own heart, and they have this like sensation of this big circle, but it's almost like a track that's like doing, reminds me of a record, how it's going around. And stepping onto this wheel. So hiding behind your own heart doesn't allow the connection. So the one side of our heart we hide behind. The other side of the heart, we so when we stand behind our heart, it doesn't mean we're not connecting with our heart, but we're not actually showing ourselves, and we're not connecting the same way. So they're saying when we step over our heart and we stand on this wheel, it's super like a turntable, which in my brain makes me think you can't get off the turntable. All of a sudden you're stuck in a loop, but that's not what it is. When we step over our heart and we allow that vulnerable space and we connect to people in this way by getting on this turntable of sorts, we're actually we sometimes the imagery versus how it translates. It's the image of like giving, like you're on this wheel and you're handing things out as you're going around this turntable. Oh, and then when you get back to your heart, that's when you restock up and you're able to share this around. But it's not only to other people. You're able to access these other aspects of you and love the other aspects of you, because this isn't just about connecting and loving to other people. There is a huge block of loving ourselves. It's huge. It's rampant. Even if it's in the smallest iota, I'm pretty sure we've all experienced at some point of where we judge ourselves, we have expectations of ourselves, we get down on ourselves. They're like, enough. They're like, go back to the turntable. So keep feeding. So step over your heart. Allow, so there's a vulnerability there. But you have more control than you know. Not control and the like, it's all about me, but just like by stepping over into that vulnerable space, you are not releasing control. You are not necessarily going to be bulldozed. Somebody's not going to take advantage of you, those kinds of things, because you're still connected into your heart. And that's actually how you connect more to these aspects of yourself. And it's mostly about connecting and loving these different parts of yourself. I'm just trying to see how many actual points there are. One. Including the heart, there's like 8 points around. What's 8? 8 is abundance. Okay. So there's something else and I'm not quite getting what they're. Okay, so you're feeding these spaces around, stepped over your heart, you're on this table, turntable, I keep calling it, and you're going in this circle, and you're as you reach these points, you have this like, I keep picturing you're like carrying this like pile of things. It's like when you're like, I don't need a basket, and you're carrying your groceries, and you're just like, it's good, I just needed one thing, but then you have like this overflow. So this is like your heart, this is your connection, this is your love, okay? And it's not that you're giving away your heart is endless. Love energy is endless. It doesn't deplete. The more you give it, the more it fills up. Okay, that's another like hurdle to get across for many of us. So you have this arm and as you're going around to different parts, you're handing out these pieces of your love, of your aspects of your heart. And then when you get back to the heart, you fill up again. And you go around as many times as you need to go around until you feel that you have given out as much as you need to. And then you go to the center. And then you have this light bathe you from, you're basically in a light column. Makes me think of the quartz crystal columns that come in often when I do the group healings, the Tamiana group healings. Okay, got it. So this is the homework for this full moon. They're like, don't call it homework. If you have any suggestions about other words than homework, soul connection. This is your soul connection experience. There's like one word missing there, isn't there? Okay, for this full moon. Beautiful full moon. If the skies clear up, because we got some haze some more. So, which is interesting because it's the despair and the grief still. So picture yourself. Filled with light. And picture your heart. You're going to picture yourself stepping over your heart and onto this turntable. Now around this turntable, it might help you to draw. So this is a meditation visualization. Soul visualization. There you go. See, we came to it. It might help to draw a circle and then draw the points. So your heart's at the bottom, and then you have these other 7 points around the circle, and label these points. And they're very specific to label these points as parts of you, because we need to nourish you. We need to nourish ourselves before we can nourish others. So we can show up. Right? The more peeling back and the healing, like I could go on for hours about what's been going on the last couple of weeks in my world for this healing and these peelings backs, because it's huge. I cannot show up for you if I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to do any of my own work, right? So drawing the circle, drawing these 7 points. The 8th is at the bottom, which is your heart. Label these points as aspects of yourself. Simply or as detailed as you need to. But be specific. Now, what I mean by that is, like, I'm thinking about the first point, to not be like you can put your body, but what about your body are you feeding love to? Are you feeding love to your feet because they've had a lot of pain? Maybe you have arthritis. Are you feeding love to your hands because you work with them a lot, and but you're starting to not like how they look through aging? Are you feeding your thyroid because your thyroid doesn't function properly and you just want to know that you love it? And then these different aspects of yourself. Maybe there's some inner child stuff that's been coming up, but what is it? So it doesn't have to be a long paragraph, but be as specific as you can, okay? And then, after you've labeled all of these things, picture yourself going around the circle. You've gathered up that grocery armload of heart, and you go and you give it to those different pieces, and you do it again and again and again until you feel that all of those points are full. And then you visualize yourself walking to the middle, to the center. If it was a record, it'd be where the hole was in the center, and then it would have the label. The label is you. It says you with a big heart. Yeah? Stand in that point, all the areas around you full, and picture the light. You're standing in this pillar of light. You're standing in this gigantic clear quartz that is funneling this love into you. And by activating the center point, you are activating those other 8 points, including your heart and all those aspects of you. It's helping clear the energy off of them. It's realigning the DNA of those various aspects of yourself. It's clearing past stuff from them, future stuff from them, so that it can be realigned, pure state now. Yeah. Do this as many times as you need to. Maybe there's more than 7 points. If you're writing, you're like, I can't decide. It's okay to repeat what you've written before, and then maybe there's some new ones. It's okay to have a whole plethora, right? A whole shebang of a whole bunch of different things that you're like, hey, because we get hard on ourselves the more we're on this earth. It's a thing. It also depends on where you've come from for your childhood. What are you clearing for your mother and father wound? For wounds from your past lives, from your future selves, all of that, right? Okay, So that apparently is what my guides wanted to share with you today. I had no idea that was coming. I'm kind of in love with it. I think I'm going to go do that myself. But yeah, I got some ideas to how to amplify that as well. But I hope that is some guidance for you. If you joined partway through, totally, I'm going to be posting this as well. Hopefully my phone lets me save it. I'm going to be posting it if it does. And we pulled a card. I'll just let you know. We pulled completion from my Tao deck. And we also talked a little bit about what Chani Nicholas says about what's happening astrologically right now as well. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me. And if you have any questions too about the meditation, the visualization, the soul visualization, as I'm now calling it apparently, let me know. Yeah, totally reach out. I'm here to guide you through that if need be. Okay, so much love and Stardust. Good luck during this new moon. Remember, heart, heart. It doesn't even look like a heart. Okay. So much love and Stardust. Talk to you soon.